Before you comment anything, I've started recording it. Shut up. Welcome back to round 3 of my F1 2014 career mode. Australia didn't go well, I got taken out by Perez. Malaysia didn't go well, I got taken out by the McLarens. So today we're racing in Bahrain. Let's see who takes us out this race. As always, we start out in practice, just do a couple laps to get used to the car and the track, because I still at this stage wasn't too used to the car. We do get a little bit of slipstream from Sebastian Vettel after he ruins my line into the final corner. We go P8, which is pretty respectable. We beat Kevin Magnussen. We do almost run into the back of Kobayashi into the first corner. So after a relatively uneventful practice, we jump to qualifying. This is the end of my first lap in Q1. I almost lose it on the exit of the final corner, so not too great, but up to the line we go. P5. You can tell I was happy with that. We get overtaken by Massa as we start our next lap, but we don't need to. We don't need to do another lap in Q1. We almost go into the back of Massa into the first corner once again. I was absolutely over the moon of this lap, so much so that I thought, I want to celebrate. It's only Q1, but I want to celebrate. I'm going to do some donuts. Yeah, I'll be honest, in the moment I thought, this will be fine, I'll be off the racing line, no one will hit me, it'll just be a mini celebration for such a good lap. For some reason I didn't factor in that there could be people behind me. Like, it didn't even cross my mind once. So after such an incredible qualifying lap in Q1, I've immediately ruined it 4 corners later, because we're now out of qualifying. Or at least I should be out of qualifying. But once again, because F1 2015 is so bad, Codemasters, they didn't factor in retiring and removing you from the entirety of qualifying. So after crashing out in Q1, setting a time that puts us P7 on the board, we're through to qualifying too, because Codemasters are idiots. I see what you mean, guys. F1 2015 it's a phenomenal game. I see why you guys defend it so much in my comment section. So coming to the end of our first lap in Q2, is it as good as our Q1 lap time? No, it isn't. It's P9. We're beating Alonso, so it's not too bad, but I doubt that's going to be enough to get us into Q3. Jumping to the end of Q2, we've got 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. We've got time for 2 more laps. We currently sit P10, so currently we're safe, but it's unlikely we're going to stay there. Luckily, if we mess up this lap time, we have got one more chance to qualify. Let's see how we do on potentially my final lap in Q2. Can we get our first Q3 of the season? Head down towards turn number 1. Let's try again on the next lap. Here we are on our final lap, coming around the final corner for the final time in Q2. We currently sit P10, so still safe, but we are going to improve on this lap just to get that little bit more safe. Up to P8 we go. That should be enough to see us into Q3 for the first time, and it is with a time of 1:36.0. We get through to Q3 in P8. Yeah, there wasn't any point in showing you Q3. With P10, I was a second off Felipe Massa. I am going to plummet down this grid come the race.
Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir, where the drivers are down on the grid going through the last checks with their engineers before we can get underway. Pole position can only be secured by one driver.
So let's take a look at our strategy. Yep, completely wrong. I don't need to tell you the strategy we're going to be taking this race. So I'm in P10, I'm terrible at starts, and this car is massively slower compared to people around me. Lights out and away most people go. I don't really get off the line. I'm going to immediately plummet down the field, as I said. Down to P14 before, I don't know, about 100 metres. Down to P15 down towards turn number 1. We've got the inside line, we're going to take it nice and easy. Hopefully make up a few positions. We go back over to P13. Down to P14, we're battling Verne on the exit of turn number 2. We can't really make any progress because Perez is in the way, but we managed to get back onto P13. Honestly, given my history, it's an okay start. It could have been a lot worse. It looks like we're going to hold on to P13 as we come through turn number 4. We've got another dive bomb opportunity through turn number 8. We're going to look to the inside of Daniel Kvyat. Very hesitantly. I didn't really know if he's going to turn in on me because, you know, it's 2015 AI. You can't really trust them to do anything correctly. But halfway through lap number 1, we're back up in the P12. Thankfully, with someone in front of me, I managed to get my braking point into turn 1 relatively consistent. We'll see if I go into the back of someone later on. But I've very nearly Mazapinned it on the exit of turn 2 again. The initial stint was actually pretty good. I was able to pull away from Kvyat ever so slightly, and thanks to Magnussen and Perez battling ahead of me, I was actually staying with them. So, for the first time ever, that's embarrassing. I pressed X to change my camera. I'm pretty sure on instinct I pressed X for ERS. Obviously, ERS definitely isn't a thing in this game. But as I was saying, for the first time ever this season, as we come on to lap number 5, we're still within sight of points. I can see P10, he's right there. Magnussen and Perez are going to be side by side into turn number 1. Hopefully we can capitalise on this. We definitely don't have the straight line speed, obviously, because they're both Mercedes powered engines. But going side by side through every single corner and making contact definitely isn't helping their case. We're going to be right behind them heading down towards turn number 4. They're still going to be side by side under braking. We're going to look to the inside but decide against it because I'm definitely getting turned in on if I go for that move. They're still going to be side by side as we head into sector 2. This is going to cost them so much time, and annoyingly, because they're side by side, I can't really get past them. I see an opportunity as we come into turn number 8 though. We're going to dive the inside of Kevin Magnussen, and we're going to make the move stick.
Bye, have a beautiful time.
I really thought I made that move stick. Never mind, we're back down to P12. As you were, gents. As you'd come to guess, I was quicker in the corners because they were constantly going side by side, but the second I hit the straight, they kind of just fucked off. They had DRS on each other, they had slipstream, and you can see the difference compared to the Ferrari engine I've got. This car in a straight line, absolutely diabolical. Also, it's not great in the corners either. So at the end of lap number 6, we're going to come into the pit. We're going to put the prime tyre on, and we're going to have to stretch the prime tyres just a little bit longer than we originally intended. Yeah, that wasn't great. Not a great moment. But one small positive I can take, at least I crashed and broke my wing right next to the pit for once. Because of where I crashed, I obviously lost quite a bit of time, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been, because on lap number 9, the Marussias and the Caterhams decided to come into the pit, and I'm going to be ahead of them on track with not much of a tyre difference. It was bad, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't out of this race just yet. We weren't out of the race, but unfortunately that crash did condemn us to a very boring middle stint. We were behind Maldonado, and obviously with straight line speed, it was difficult to pass. We're going to try down the main straight this time, onto lap number 15. We've got DRS, we've got Rich Mix, we've got Slipstream, we're very slowly catching him, and finally we're going to get past him. We're actually going to overtake someone, I missed who that was, on our inside, up into P13, so we're slowly moving up the grid with one less pit stop. Whether it will be beneficial at the end, we'll have to wait and see. But at the midpoint of the race, we currently sit P13. Points still, they could happen. They could happen. And one thing that's really going to help our points charge is if there's incidents ahead. Coming to the end of lap number 15, we've got yellow flags ahead briefly, back to green flags. Back to yellow, because this game is a bit confused when it comes to yellow flags, but that means someone's got an issue ahead, and shockingly, it's Lewis Hamilton from the lead of the race. It looks like he's got a puncher coming into the pit. A couple more cars coming into the pit, it looks like we're going to be promoted up into P11. Maybe even P10 if we can get Magnussen around the outside. Somehow, despite having a broken wing, we've managed to catch the cars we were fighting before we had that incident. We managed to overtake Magnussen around the outside of turn number 1, but with the engine he's got, I'm sure I won't be able to hold him back for long. We've also got Hulkenberg directly behind us. He's another one from Mercedes engine. I'm in a very difficult position, but we've got one more stop to make. We're going to be pitting relatively soon. Magnussen's having a look. Okay, Hulkenberg's taken Magnussen out. Thank you so much, Nico. You absolute goat. That's what you get when you support a driver as much as I do. Even in-game, he watches your back. So thanks to those interesting tactics from Nico, we've got a bit of a lifeline here. I think I'm going to push for one more lap, just so I can get these tyres to the end comfortably and a good pace. We currently sit P10. I very nearly... Magnussen's right behind me. Well, shit. Coming down towards turn number 1. Magnussen's on our inside. Hopefully, with the AI, I can just stay ahead of him through the corners. fuck? Well, one thing we've learnt in this race is I've learnt where the cliff of the prime tyres are. They're right now, because these tyres have suddenly... They're just awful. They're absolutely gone. We're battling Kvyat for P12. Points are rapidly just disappearing. This recovery, it's not going great. Come to the end of lap number 17, I assume I'm going to come into the pit at the end of this lap. What the fuck am I doing?
Hang on a minute. It shall be the duties of the king to declare war, follow with shared adversaries.
I'm genuinely a bit baffled at that. I'm battling Kvyat coming into turn number 1. I'm genuinely trying to think why I didn't pit. I've got nothing. Feel free to criticise me in the comments because I genuinely have no reason why I've stayed out. But I guess a positive, I've overtaken Kvyat. I pray I'm going to come into the pit at the end of this lap. I have to pit again. I'm definitely not staying out. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've absolutely brought this on myself, so I'm not going to blame Kvyat because I should have come into the pit at the end of the lap. I didn't. And Kvyat... You know what, I will blame Kvyat because he literally took me out, literally drove into the back of me. He didn't even go around me. You know what, I'm blaming Kvyat. Well, on the plus side, my pit window has now opened up and points are gone. Again. Once again, thanks to both me staying out too long and AI taking me out. But as we come into lap number 19, we're going to come into the pit for some prime tyres. And for, I imagine, a very depressing final stint. Not for the first time. We're going to come out comfortably in last place, but the one small positive I can take from this race, I'm sure Kvyat has a penalty. Actually, fuck off. Yeah, as you can imagine, the final stint was just me overtaking people in the pit. There was a few battles, thanks to people being on slightly fresher tyres, but this was a very depressing final stint because I very easily could have got points this race. Had I pit one lap earlier and not been taken out by Kvyat, I do think I could have got points. I definitely had the pace at this track. We're side by side with my teammate as he comes out the pit. I really want to beat him, but we're getting lapped by Nico Rosberg. Yeah, this is a bit dire now. If I'm struggling this much in the Sauber, I don't even want to think about that sodding Caterham. But Nico Rosberg wins the race. We're going to come home in P17. We're going to beat our teammate again, but we really should have scored points. And I blew it once again. So Nico Rosberg wins the race in dominant fashion, Valtteri Bottas comes home P2, Daniel Ricciardo P3, Lewis Hamilton, after whatever incident he had, I think it was a puncture in the end, ends up P9, and looking at where we should have finished, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Perez, all of which we were battling at some point in that race. Had we had a clean race, we absolutely would have been at least battling for that final points paying position, but as an F1 YouTuber, through no fault of my own, we miss out on points. In the standings, Hamilton leads on 52 points, 9 points ahead of Nico Rosberg, Daniel Ricciardo P3, Sebastian Vettel P4 and Valtteri Bottas P5. On countback, I'm still losing to Bianchi and Sutil, putting us P17 and pointless in the Drivers' Championship. So, with that, that brings an end to another disappointing race on F1 2015-14. I hope you're enjoying this, because you've got an entire season of something even worse than this to sit through when I get to the Caterham video. I'll see you in China. Thanks for watching.